This is the video for Thursday, February 11th. The bell word for today: explain the law of demand. And can you think of a situation where this might not apply? I talked about a couple in class yesterday, but generally speaking, a situation where the law of demand might not apply. So go ahead and pause the video so that you can do that. And we're resuming. So the law of demand: as price increases, the quantity demanded decreases. And as price decreases, the quantity demanded increases. So can you think of a situation where a change in price might not change the quantity of demand, at least not very much? It might change it a little bit, but it's not going to change it much. So think about that. Answer that. There are plenty of examples where if you change the price of something, you're not necessarily changing the quantity demanded. So if we resume, there is a change in quantity demanded. This is a movement along the demand curve that shows a change in the quantity of a product purchase in response to a change in price. So this is going to be very similar to what we talked about yesterday. We talked about the quantity demanded. Well, today we're talking about the change in quantity demanded. So we have our graph here, and we have on graph here, and on this side we have the listing of all of our things. So this is going to be our demand schedule on the left and our demand curve on the right. Now, if you notice on the demand curve, it is going to be a reflection of the demand schedule. Well, a change in quantity demanded is going to look like this. As we move down in one direction, we're going to move the opposite in the other direction. So a change in quantity demanded is going to be moving along this curve, okay? And all that means is that you change the price and you change how many of something consumers as a whole are going to buy. Now, we're going to contrast that to the next thing, which is going to be a change in demand. A change in demand, so note, a change in quantity demanded can only be caused by a change in price. So that's important, that you change the price and therefore you change how many of something people will buy. Changing the demand is not going to be moving along the curve, but it's actually going to be different amounts of a product are demanded at every price, causing the demand curve to shift to the left or to the right. So watch carefully. A change in demand looks something like this. We're going to take our curve and we're going to just move it to the right. And when we do that, or move it to the left. Okay, so when we move our demand, we move along the curve right here. It says a change in quantity demanded. And when we take our whole entire curve and move it to the right or to the left, notice at $3, we're going to be, what looks like it's 7 on our original curve. And then when we move it over to the right at $3, we still have people buying more of that thing. So it's going to be, it looks like about $11. Okay, so we're still moving along there. So that's going to be a change in demand. What types of circumstances could cause a change in demand in this way? Well, there's actually going to be 6 of them, and they're listed right there in your notes. So one change is going to be, so sometimes other factors change while price remains the same. This causes a change in demand. So one of those things is going to be consumer income. An increase in income allows consumers to buy more products at each and every price. This causes the curve to shift right. A loss in income would cause the demand curve to shift less, showing a decrease in demand. So this makes a lot of sense as an individual, right? As an individual make more money in my career, I'm able to buy more things. Okay, maybe back when I first started teaching, I had a house purchasing budget of $150,000, and now I have a house purchasing budget of $200,000. That would be an example. That is, house pricing doesn't really change in that way, but what is changing is my income. Now, if you're looking at this in sort of a macro level as a producer, let's say you own a restaurant, for example, if the people in the community are making more money, maybe because there's more jobs available, then they're going to come to your restaurant more often. If they're making less money because there's less jobs available, then they're going to come to your restaurant less often. And it's going to cause the demand curve to shift to the right or to the left. The increase in the demand moving the whole curve to the right, and the decrease in demand moving the whole curve to the left. Our next example is going to be consumer taste. This could affect demand. Advertising, news reports, fashion trends, introduction of new products, and even changes in the season can affect consumer taste. So in addition, sometimes tastes and preferences change over time, such as demand for healthier foods. So let's say that there was we sold a product, and that product is Doritos, and we kind of had a consistent demand curve, right? The demand for the price is going to be the same as time goes along, and to move up and down the demand curve, we're going to have to change the price. But then maybe we have a successful Super Bowl commercial, and by having a successful Super Bowl commercial, we're actually going to be able to increase our demand. We're going to move our demand curve to the right. Now more people are interested in buying our product because they saw it. This happens with any kind of trends that you might see. I remember a few years ago those fidget spinners were really popular, right? Well, those became more and more popular, and people were more and more willing to buy them. The same thing happens in reverse, though. Maybe things go out of style. People start boycotting things. I don't know if you remember, I think last year there was the Peloton scandal where they had a commercial that people didn't think was a good commercial, and people got really mad at Peloton. And because people got so mad at Peloton, now all of a sudden you could buy it shifted the whole demand curve to the left. People were buying less Peloton than they were before. That would be an example of consumer taste shifting the demand curve. Next is substitutes. The demand for a product increases if the price of the replacement goes up and vice versa. So, for example, if the price of butter is high, you can go buy margarine for cheaper. So maybe if a substitute might be Coke and Pepsi, right? So if we are the Coca-Cola Corporation and we're selling Coke, well, as we raise and lower our price, we have a change in quantity demanded. We can actually have our curve shift by something that we don't do. And that would be somebody walks into the store, they want some soda. Normally they would buy Coke, but Pepsi's on sale, and so they buy Pepsi instead. That is actually going to cause our demand to go down by the competition having a sale because more people are buying the competition. Or the inverse would be if the competition raises their prices or has some sort of bad marketing campaign or something like that. If the competition raises their prices, more people might come to us instead. So that would be substitutes. Complements are sort of different, and that's that products that increase the use of other products. So an increase in the price of one reduces the demand for the price of both. So imagine the example here is that if the increase in the price of if you have an Xbox, if you want to buy an Xbox but games are super expensive, then you might not buy that Xbox because you can't afford to buy the games. The same sort of thing can happen if, for example, maybe hot dogs and hot dog buns. You might say that hot dogs, if we sell hot dogs and all of a sudden the price of hot dog buns skyrockets, well, people are going to be less likely to buy hot dogs because they can't afford the hot dog buns. So this is a change in price, but it's not a change in the price of our product. It's a change in the price of the complementary product. And there's a lot of things that in order to use that thing, you need something else. Maybe the change in the price of gas would change the number of SUVs bought, right? Because the SUV is a vehicle that uses a lot of gas. And so if the cost of gas is going up, then less people are going to buy SUVs. Next is change in expectations. This is the way people think about the future. So a good example is, would you buy the iPhone 10 if the iPhone 11 is coming out soon? So the answer is no, you wouldn't. So the demand for iPhone 10 will go down because of what consumers expect. Consumers expect the iPhone 11 to come out, and they're just going to decide to wait for that. And so in order to sell the iPhone 10, you're actually going to have to lower the price. Well, that would be a movement along the demand curve. That would be a change in quantity demanded. And without that, you would have a change in demand. What if there was an expected shortage of food, right? It's going to snow. What does everybody go out and buy? They go out and buy milk and bread. So because of that, the the expectations are that you expect people to come out and hoard up on milk and bread, so more people are going to be likely to buy milk and bread. Same thing happened with toilet paper last year. People expected not to be able to go out into the grocery store and buy toilet paper. They expected to be locked in their house for months and months at a time, so they stocked up on toilet paper. And so it caused the demand for toilet paper to go up without the price changing. Last thing is the number of consumers. An increase in consumers causes the demand curve to shift right, and a decrease in consumers causes the demand curve to shift left. A good example might be if we own a restaurant in Greenville and more people are coming into Greenville, well, that's going to cause us to have more and more of a demand for our food. Maybe a different example would be, let's say that we have a company that sells diapers and there's a baby boom. Maybe it's a post-COVID baby boom. And because of this baby boom, now we have more young parents who are trying to go out and buy diapers. We didn't change the cost, but because there is more consumers, now the demand has gone up for that.